Do you enjoy stepping out of your comfort zone? Did you know that you can break out of it not only by changing your job or place of residence? Since the James Webb Telescope entered the cosmic stage, orthodox astrophysics has come closer than ever to a grand failure. This cutting-edge optical device possesses an astonishing superpower to peer so deeply into the universe, where the eyepiece of no telescope ever created before has ventured. What did James Webb see at a distance of almost 14 billion light-years, essentially at the origins of the macrocosm's inception? Its initial revelations have already demonstrated that the conventional understandings of potential scenarios for the birth of our universe are merely a colossus on clay feet, which is on the verge of collapsing. But that's not frightening. Who knows, perhaps upon its ruins, a new, more plausible theory will take root. So, in schools and universities, we are inevitably introduced to commonly accepted theories purportedly explaining the emergence of humanity, or the universe as a whole. This is unsurprising, as this question will never lose its relevance. Recall the witty theory of Charles Darwin. I speculate that towards the end of his life, much like Gogol, he intended to destroy all his works, primarily his grand endeavor on the origin of species. Considering it absurd, although some classify this story as an urban legend. Nevertheless, the catastrophic lack of an evidentiary basis hasn't hindered ministries of all kinds from including Darwinism in school and university programs up to this day. Currently, something quite similar is happening with the theory of the Big Bang. It's simply bursting at the seams, and the James Webb Telescope is to blame for it. What does this now legendary telescope represent? James Webb isn't just some Galilean tube, it's an orbital infrared observatory of immense proportions. Only its mirror, with a diameter of 6.5 meters. This colossal machine was created to search for exoplanets, protoplanetary disks, for more detailed study of the watery worlds of the solar system's minor body, and also to peer as far into the past as possible, and yet to understand the reason for existence. And James Webb fulfills its task excellently. Since the summer of 2022, it has been sending rather clear photographs of potentially habitable planets with water and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Images of gas giants and nebulae, in whose embrace protostars are forming. But the most significant discovery made by this astonishing telescope concerns galaxies, and it has already laid the foundation for a future cosmological revolution. What do we fundamentally know about galaxies? They can be elliptical, spiral, some of them resemble lenses or have a bridge. Certain galaxies are too small compared to others. They are called dwarfs, and there's also a type of objects that doesn't fit into any of the classifications. In short, a very diverse family. In one of these galaxies, known as the Milky Way, we live. In the theory of the Big Bang, galaxies are given a significant role. It's believed that they appeared no earlier than 5 billion years after the mysterious singularity point detonation, but James Webb has made scientists doubt this. What is the theory of the Big Bang? Put simply, about a century ago, astronomers discovered that stars seemed to be moving away from us in different directions. From this, they inferred that something significant must have propelled this process. Gradually, through indirect calculations, scientists arrived at the idea that around 14 billion years ago, a monstrous explosion occurred from an infinitely small, incredibly hot singularity point. As a result, matter began to expand uncontrollably, and the first stars emerged, primarily composed of hydrogen and helium. After millennia, they would explode, filling space with heavy metals produced through nuclear fusion. These metals then gave rise to stars of the next generation. Subsequently, these luminous bodies coalesced into galaxies, all of which was accompanied by the ongoing expansion of space. Later, this protracted scenario was termed the theory of the Big Bang. But is it correct? Evolution is present in everything in the universe, as with stars mentioned earlier, but galaxies also have their predictable stages of development. If we believe the proponents of the Big Bang theory, galaxies couldn't have formed in the first billion years after the birth of our universe, not to mention conglomerates formed from several formations. Furthermore, the early galaxy's composition couldn't have contained anything beyond hydrogen, helium, lithium, and perhaps beryllium. These elements, according to scientists' estimates, appeared during the Big Bang seemingly out of nothing. But James Webb shattered these theories to pieces. He managed to reach the origins of the universe's formation and saw something entirely unexpected. At a distance of over 13 billion light-years, scientists observed fully matured galaxies with high metallicity and an immense number of stars. This simply couldn't have been possible. Yet, you can't argue with photographic evidence. What does this imply? In short, either the universe is much older, and the process of forming metal-rich stars and their clusters happened far earlier, or the Big Bang theory simply doesn't hold up to scrutiny. And all this time, we believed in a soap bubble. In other words, we'll have to look even farther to verify whether these assertions are true and eventually find pioneer galaxies, be they spherical or elliptical. Essentially, at this moment, James Webb successfully combines the functions of a telescope and a time machine, fulfilling the dreams of many a sci-fi enthusiast. His gaze delves deeper and deeper into the universe in search of cosmological truths, seeking objects that ceased to exist long ago. Yet, what is destined for him to discover in this darkness, the ancient of the ancients? Clearly, the cosmos conceals numerous mysteries that do not align with all our notions. Few know what astronauts who have visited, say, the International Space Station or those who landed on the moon remain silent about. Perhaps they witnessed something that led them to deem lunar missions reasonable to be put on hold indefinitely. And we're not speaking of the Solaris effect with its vivid hallucinations, where supposedly the universe communicates with humans, but rather about other more tangible events. We won't voice unverified theories. We'll merely mention that some astronauts, after many years, do reveal fragments of classified information. For instance, in 1977, George Leonard wrote a book featuring NASA images showing strange objects on the lunar surface. The author claimed these images were genuine and intentionally withheld from the public by the American government. What were these objects? Ruins of some ancient structures, perhaps constructed by a long-extinct civilization. It wasn't until 1996 that representatives of NASA held a press conference on this topic, where they had to provide elaborate explanations to avoid a scandal. However, let's return to the ancient galaxies and James Webb's perplexing findings. Evolutionary astronomers are simply shocked by what the telescope has sent. According to the orthodox theory, it's utterly impossible for the first galaxies to be filled with such an immense number of stars, let alone with the entire periodic table. This is akin to what happened to the paleontological record that supports Darwin's theory. During excavations, archaeologists consistently found bones of already fully developed animals and birds. But where are the transitional forms and intermediate links? Ones not resembling any known creature and showcasing the process of organism evolution. They are extremely rare. Yet this doesn't bother scientists. If we extrapolate the situation to the realm of cosmology, it's the same with galaxies. The stages of stellar and galactic evolution still apply. Thus, astronomers currently find themselves in absolute bewilderment. Many of them aren't sure and question whether they've done anything right. Or is everything that was considered true simply fiction? It might seem time to convene a global conference, discredit the Big Bang model as a theory that couldn't withstand scrutiny, but nobody seems inclined to do that. Why? The Big Bang theory is the foundation. And if that's shattered, the massive edifice built over the years based on conventional beliefs would crumble. Hence, scientists worldwide have chosen a different path. They plan to reevaluate the algorithms of star formation and the evolutionary processes that give rise to galaxies. In other words, it's easier for them to part with a portion than to relinquish the whole. Of course, after the compelling evidence presented by James Webb, creationists have become more active. They have stepped in to replace the evolutionary thinkers and shifted them from the spotlight. Representatives of this religious and philosophical doctrine are firmly convinced that the universe and everything within it came into being through an act of creation. In simpler terms, it was brought into existence by a supremely intelligent being, referred to by humans in various ways. But on what pillars does the Big Bang idea rest? First and foremost, there's invariably the mention of the singularity point, even though even quantum physicists have a rather vague understanding of it. How, if you please, can one even describe an object of infinite density and temperature? On one hand, it seems logical that an explosion should have an epicenter. Yet, take note of one peculiar feature if you observe galaxies from Earth's surface or the orbit of our planet. These objects move away from Earth in all directions. Does that mean our planet is the center of the universe, the place where that very singularity point was located? But that's absurd. If you, as an observer, were to arrive on any other planet, you would see the same scenario. Galaxies would be similar, moving away from you in various directions. What does this mean in practice? Most likely, if the Big Bang did happen, it didn't occur at a specific point. Instead, space itself expanded, literally every pixel of it. For example, Professor of Astrophysics from the University of Oslo, R. Ratcliffe, suggests that the term point where the expansion began is used somewhat loosely for better understanding, so it shouldn't be taken literally. What other elements are required for the viability of the Big Bang theory? Virtually just two hypothetical things, dark energy and particles known as inflatants. Both components also reside in the realm of theory and semi-scientific speculation. It's the inflaton, according to proponents of the Big Bang theory, that took responsibility for the rapid expansion of the universe microseconds after the epochal event. Some astrophysicists believe that inflation is nothing other than the legendary Higgs boson, or in the world's terminology, the God particle, which was sought for years at CERN, one of the largest high-energy physics laboratories focused on nuclear research. As for dark energy, it's a hypothetical substance introduced into mathematical formulas to explain the universe's accelerating expansion. So, what in this theory is real and substantial? To summarize, it seems that the explosion wasn't an explosion in the traditional sense. Accordingly, this phenomenon lacked an epicenter, let alone one concentrated at a specific point. In fact, the beginning of the Big Bang Theory is its weakest point. Moreover, inflation and dark energy are literally two dark horses artificially introduced in attempts to create a coherent theory. However, scientists overlook these aspects, considering them non-essential, as everything else fundamentally fits within the devised framework. And then James Webb appeared and completely shattered it. It's only a matter of time. I would like to know your opinion. Is the Big Bang Theory worth such complexities and efforts to keep it afloat? Or should we take a closer look at James Webb's research? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. We know that the laws of the universe work like clockwork. Subscribe to the channel for good karma.